This is Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.
I shudder thinking how the world can be so cruel. I lend my voice to those who can't. It's time we try, it's time we care, it's time we stand. It starts with a voice.
Welcome back to the Special Chronicles podcast, in our Unified at Work series, where we're going to respect and voice to people with special needs. And on this Unified at Work series, it's all we're featuring inclusive employment conversations. And we've got a truly empowering episode. Please put your virtual hands together as we welcome Neffie to the special from United Airlines to the Special Chronicles podcast. Welcome, Neffie. Just imagining that applause was an entire plane filled of people.
I know, right? That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm glad, and I know we've been. I think we've been talking the past couple of years about having you on this podcast, and I'm glad now after this. I'm wearing. I was actually debating, and I'll let our listeners in on this. I was debating on what shirt to wear, either my co-branded Service Ambassador polo or the Wings for All. And I decided, well, since I had Captain Tate on, which our listeners are going to hear before this episode, and then Samantha from the Elk of Illinois, I was wearing this on those two episodes. So because we're doing a 3-part little series on an incredible event. But before we get into the Wings for All, let's backtrack and tell us a little bit about your journey at United Airlines, your connection to our disability community, and then how you got involved in our Bridge Business Resource Group and this Wings for All.
Well, yeah, but once again, thank you, Daniel. Yes, we have been working to coordinate time to come on your podcast, but I'm so happy that I'm here today. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come and share. I started with United August of 2022. So I started working with Daniel, actually, as a CS agent on the floor at ORD. And I have... prior to that, I was a firefighter EMT. And so I worked in the medical field for over, I want to say close to 20 years, because I did retire. So from there, and United is pretty much like my second career. And after COVID, I came just at the tail end of COVID. So that was my coming to United. And then I heard about the business resource groups, and I was like super interested. I kind of started out with another one of our business resource groups that is geared towards empowerment of women, but I came across, or as I can say, I crossed paths with a representative from Bridge. And I don't know if it was just sheer chemistry, energy, whatever it was. And she was like, "Oh, you will be great for Bridge." And I had to wait a minute, let me read exactly what Bridge one was for, because I know I heard it, but what was it? When I saw what it was for, I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. I have to be, because, it touches close to heart, not just for myself that has hidden disabilities, but also family members of mine, i.e. my sister, my youngest sister, actually. So and then just have been in the medical field. I've always been a strong advocate or ally to the disability community. So that's how I got in.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And moving on, before we get into walking through the days of events, and Kevin Tate had sent me. So I've got a picture that internally at United has been all flying together, and on
Yeah.
TV. I was just in the break room. I saw it on a TV monitor. The picture that I was able to take
Yes.
of Captain Tate and that young passenger that captured it, and we'll leave. That's a tease to keep our listeners listening to this episode, because we're going to talk
Yes.
about that near the end of our time today. But before we get into, and there's another picture, and I'm going to try to find it, because Kevin Tate had sent me a map of the journey that we went on during the Wings for All event.
Oh, cool.
And actually, you know what? Just for the sake of time, I'm not. I'll try to find it, but if I don't, our listeners and you, Neffie, can go back to the previous two episodes. Oh, the previous. Yeah, the previous, I believe, the previous episode with Kevin Tate, because he actually walked us through the journey where we taxied around the airport, and it was neat to. I never saw that view before, and so it was kind of a neat view to kind of see where we taxied around. But first, can you share with our listeners, because I'm sure some listeners will probably have heard the last couple of episodes, but if listeners are just jumping in to this episode and they don't know about this Wings for All, can you tell us about what is the Wings for All program that the ELK, both Illinois and nationally, what is the purpose and mission, and why this matters so much to families with intellectual and developmental disabilities?
Well, I was introduced to the Arc of Illinois through one of the interns that was working last year, actually, in operations, and her name was Sarah. And she gave me this proposal, working to see how she could get this event to happen at O'Hare Airport. And I said, when I looked at the proposal as a new incoming chapter director, I said, what better BRG to do this is with the bridge, which are the one that support employees, and I like to call great abilities versus disabilities, that that support it. So when I got into researching and finding out that Denver already does it, and connecting with people, and after that just reaching out and getting contacts from the Arc of Illinois, and then like the amazing person you had on your show, Samantha, was one of the main persons, which was amazing. And just having the support of our the vice president of operations, Omar Idris, because he was the one that actually had charged me last year to work to get a program to come to ORD that will not only help assist our passengers with great abilities, but also help our staff from all points, from customer service, in-flight, flight ops, TSA, everyone, to be able to support our passengers with great abilities. So that's how I got connect with them. And I believe that the importance of having this program and this connection that we have with them, to be able to put off an event for Wings for All, being able to put that event together was paramount to a lot of families that didn't know if they were even going to have the opportunity to fly. And we
Yeah.
know, and we know that driving, I can't do it. Like 4 hours tops for me. But we know that if you are in the Midwest and you want to go to places like Disney World or Disneyland, that's like a 16. Oh, I saw the picture.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll put it up again.
okay. Um, it could be like a 16-hour drive if they're going to Florida or to California. So, being able to do air travel is so important because it cuts down on time and safety. Like, that's a long drive. So
Yeah.
just being able to support the families and give them that opportunity without them having to lose thousands of dollars or pay thousands of dollars just to see if it can happen.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. There's a couple of impact stories of a couple of families that we'll get to in a few moments. But before we get to that, and I'm going to put up on the screen so if you're listening to the audio podcast, go check out the video on our YouTube, specialchronicles.com. Click on YouTube, and you can find the full video episode there. But can you walk us through the days of events? I think you arrived early, and then when I arrived by 7 a.m., Helene and Polly was there, which was perfect timing because I was able to let them in to the back room. But can you walk us through the days events? How many families and participants will at this event on our listeners are going to hear this in September, but it happened a month ago, August 16th, and tell us about the preparations from our United team and our airport operations team, and walk us through the days.
Well, it was a lot of components, a lot of things in play. I have an amazing assistant chapter director. His name is Yusuf. He's at our Knox Center, NOC, and between him and I in the beginning, we did a lot of work. We had a lot of components from our SOC, our NOC, of course, customer service, in flight, flight ops. We also had the gate managers, as well, the chief pilot, um, and Captain Tate. Thank goodness he's a line check pilot, so he got a little more weight than just a regular pilot. Uh, but we had a lot of working components that we had to, and UGE can't leave out UGE because they're the persons that support United Airlines with like for wheelchair services and things of that nature as well. So cannot forget them as well. But we had a lot of working components that we had to organize and bring together. And I guess, of planning, but the day of, from check-in, the one thing I want to highlight is that this was an experience that that's it, that's the boarding pass. From the day, of check of the event. And this event is to give them a real life experience of navigating the flight travel process. So they had to park at a parking lot, some parked in the parking lot, a parking garage. They had to catch our train, the internal train, we call it ATC, the tram, the train from the parking mobile all the way to Terminal 1. These are things that that passengers do on the daily that they take for granted. And then they had to come downstairs and check in. And the one thing that I remember vividly is just I was downstairs pretty much helping escorting up to TSA. But after that, they are on their own to navigate TSA, navigate to the gate by themselves, just like regular travel. But watching the uncertainty and for some maybe fear when they were coming in, checking in, because they were still on the other side of, I don't know if this is going to be possible. But they went through TSA, and we had great partnership with TSA Cares. And for any listeners that are listening, if you're planning to travel, that there is a number that you can call. You can call TSA, and they have a department called TSA Cares, that if you notify them at least 48 to 72 hours in advance prior to travel, they will support you going through TSA, because we know that that can be indifferent, it can be challenging, and sometimes, they might not appear to be patient, but when they know about a great abilities passenger, then they can turn on their sensitivity, as I like to say. But they got through TSA, they got to the gate room, they were able to board. We had 45 families that were a part of this opportunity. And they board out of 45, we got 44 families on board. And again, this is to give the family the opportunity to see, can they do travel? So we had one family that didn't make it on board, but they made it to the gate room. So that was an accomplishment in its all. So and like Daniel said, they got the opportunity to taxi, they boarded, they pushed back, they taxied, they had flight services in flight, did service with snacks and to drink. Yes, and they
Yeah.
taxi. Oh, that is super cool. They
Yeah,
taxi.
yeah. I'm gonna put this. Our listeners definitely need to go to our YouTube Special Chronicles and check this out, because Cadman Tate explained this, and I never realized Neffie before, like see, like in between B and C concourse on this map where it says North Port and South Port. I never realized before, just how, like, well our aircrafts taxi, but it's neat to. So I don't know if you want to describe this a little bit for our audio listeners.
Yes, sure. It looks like that, they push back. So we started at our B concourse in Terminal 1, and we were at Gate B4, or as we call Bravo
15.
4 or Baker 4, right? And they taxied. And the one thing that I didn't know, Daniel, is that they actually taxied around one of the fire stations that are on there. So
Yeah.
our one of the Chicago Fire Department's fire station 3, it looks like that they did a good circle around them, right? Yeah. So
It's a throwback
it looked
to
like,
your history. Yeah.
yeah, it looked amazing, and it's big. So you guys did a good taxi around, and then they came back into still on the B concourse, but at gate Baker 4, B4. So it was towards the lower end of the concourse. But what was exciting for me, because when you all were taxiing back, I went downstairs outside of TSA so we could prepare to hand out our United swag. And the city had, well, we also got sunflower lanyards. And that's really a City of Chicago airport initiative. But United is one of the partners. We don't hand them out. We're not responsible. You get them from the city, but we were able to acquire some that added with our United swag. But I was downstairs outside of the entrance waiting for them to exit TSA. those same faces that went up the stairs or the escalator or the elevator to go through this process, that had faces of uncertainty or fear, was that came out with smiles. They had joy on their face. They were so happy. They were so appreciative, because when I checking in on you all, with my assistant chair, my assistant chapter director, I said, "What's going on the aircraft?" He said everyone is pretty much quiet, or the kids were playing with the touch screen, or they were on their iPads, just like normal travel. That's what
Yeah,
kids
yeah.
do on the aircraft. That's what they do. They either are playing with their devices, or watching the movie, or they're asleep. One of the two or the three. But they were excited, and it was so it made my heart feel well that United Airlines was able to serve them, because
Awesome.
they were super happy.
Awesome, awesome. Uh, in sharing behind the scenes stories, and I know it might be hard to pick a few moments, but were there any emotional, fun, surprising moments with the volunteers, or in-flight crew, pilots, or customer service and airport operations, like, and any surprising moments, or even with the families? But well, and again, we're going to get to that past news story, that's that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, any emotional, fun, surprising moments that in either talking to the families or talking to any of our United teams that were involved?
They were absolutely. There were two people from my NOC, and they work in the air shop. And they came up to me and Yusuf immediately after, said, "We have something more that we can offer, that the ones that may never be able to come into the airport or navigate into the airport, maybe because of health, or the ones that weren't able to make this time, and that was on the wait list, they have some type of like virtual room
Yeah,
that they can."
I
You been
I
there?
saw that. I was at the ale shop with Bridge last year, and I got to experience that, which was in it was an incredible, like it was an incredible to experience that last year.
Well, they offered to do something for the ones that were either on the wait list and couldn't be a part of this one. So in October, we are working, and it's not etched in stone. We have
This
some
October?
dates. Yes, this October. I'm going to. We're working with our. Got to work with our people impact and make sure that we
Yeah.
are still good to go. But they are offering to do tours and to do that. So we are looking at October. So
So, so,
just
and this podcast is going live in September. So when 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 we have and I'm sure that the Elk of Illinois is going to be sharing this, but when we get the information, let me know, and I'll put it in the show notes for this episode,
okay. Mhm.
to let our listeners know.
Oh, absolutely. So it was just the outpouring of, I want to help. I can't wait till the next one. I'm so excited. This was so amazing. And I know I'm going to save that story for last, because that was
Yeah.
one of the real heartbeat moments for me, because I was like, that's the picture I want to be shown. That was the picture that was the culmination of what this event was all about. It was from the beginning to the end. So I'm not going to talk of that story yet. I'll wait till you leave
Yeah,
that
yeah,
in.
yeah, yes, yes,
But
yeah.
it was I've had people that saw the story on our internal intranet and on LinkedIn, because I don't know if you saw that
No,
our executive vice
oh,
president
yeah,
of
I
human
saw that.
resource and people impact, she posted one of the pictures, and gave a shout out to myself and Sarah. Sarah definitely for planting the seed, and me, and as I said, it took a team to do it, but to actually and not just initialize it, but to see it through. So when I say people have been reaching out, I want to be a part of the next one. I already have pilots again. I have another pilot. And what's crazy is that he's also a 737 pilot. So this is just like so much synergy is a part of this, because we don't have to worry about pilots and we don't
Yeah,
have to worry about in flight. And sometimes you think it might be more challenging to get in flight and flight ops on board. It was the
but it's
opposite.
not. Yeah, yeah,
I had pilots before I had anybody else. So
yeah.
this was amazing.
Well, and even the customer service agents,
Yes.
Monica, like
Listen, Monica was specially
Monica,
requested by Captain Tate, but Dominique, she was off work. So she volunteered. 100% volunteered. So that you, and if you all out there listening do not know the hard work that our customer service agents do, from the lobby, from the gate side, to have an off day is definitely treasured in the
yeah,
customer service land, especially during the summer where
yes,
hours are long. And she donated, and well, not donated, but she dedicated her personal time, which was amazing. So yes, the customer service and Daniel, because Daniel is CS,
yeah,
and though I'm not with CS anymore, that's my heartbeat. That's where I
yeah,
started from. So I'm
yeah,
always gonna
yeah.
shout out CS.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's yeah. Can't forget our CS team
No.
as
And
well.
Donna and Edwin, can't
Yes,
forget them.
can't
Donna,
forget them.
my customer service genius, and Edwin, he is so dedicated to handling like groups and special events. So early in the morning. So yeah, I can't forget them two either.
Awesome, awesome. Well, now the moment that our listeners have been, I know it's 27 minutes into this episode, but the moment, and I'm going to put the picture up on the screen so for those of you that are listening, also on Instagram, I shared a I think highlight wheel, or I think it's like a wheel type, so like not just a picture but like a wheel. And the Elk of Illinois had reposted it, and Samantha had reposted it. And so I'll try to put a link to that if you all want to go back, because I filmed when Samantha and Kevin Tate
Mhm.
had made their announcements on the plane, and so so I was able to chronicle that. Yeah, chronicle. Yeah, no, and, yeah, it's intended. But yeah, you can go. So now the moment, this was an incredible healing. This story of a young participant who was hesitant, too bold, and then his family's reaction and impact. Um, can you walk us? I'm going to put the picture up on the screen, but can you walk us through what this story is all about, so our listeners can hear the story behind this picture?
Yes. Look, this picture, like I said, is exactly what this program and this partnership that we did makes it all worth it. So like I said 45. At first we thought it was only going to be 43 families to make it on, because at first this young man he got to the gate, and as boarding, he was extremely hesitant. He did not want to go down that jet bridge for nothing in the world. And Captain Tate had came out, and they had established a relationship, a connection. So when he came out and Captain Tate was talking to him, and he gave Captain Tate this big hug, and we just knew he was getting ready to go down that jet bridge. And as soon as he said, "Well, come on," he said, "Uh-uh." So we were like, okay, no worries. He made it to the gate room. But so we asked if his mom wanted to still go on. Maybe, she could take pictures or video, something that she can show him afterwards. So we were all down at the gate at B4 waiting for the plane to come back, and we were talking with them, and he kept asking his dad where his mom was, and he said she's on the plane, and everything. And he was like, "Well, I want to talk to her," and everyone kept joking with him, "Should have got on the plane, you can talk to her." So it was just a lot. We were trying to just like reinforce that his mom is on the plane, she's safe, it's all good. So the thing is that when I got notification that you all were taxing him back, I went downstairs and I was with that group making sure everything was prepared for them as they exited out of TSA. Well, I had a volunteer run downstairs and was like, "He did it. He did it." I'm like, "What? What happened?" He was like, "He got on the aircraft. He went on." And and they showed a couple of pictures and
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, "Yes," because that's what it was about. Even though he didn't make it on board initially, after everyone was deplaning, I don't know what clicked for him, what made him, I don't know, to be assuming if it was, hey, people I saw go on came off, or him seeing his mom come off safely with no problem. I don't know what it was, but just to know that he went down and on the aircraft with Captain Tate. This picture right here was so moving. We were in a little teary
Yeah.
eye. We were just so excited for him because
Yeah.
and his family.
Yeah. When we came off the aircraft, when I saw Kevin Tate talking with this young boy, I scanned my green badge to go back to go back on the bridge, and I'm glad I did, because somebody told me to take some pictures, and so I took this picture. I took this picture that has now been shared across our company.
Across, not just across United System, but across look. LinkedIn is international across the world, and if you have seen. Their families post immediately. There were
Yeah.
families on LinkedIn posting the success that they had. And when Kate Jibo, when she posted, and I looked, it's still getting traction right now. I looked and it was over 565 impressions on LinkedIn
Awesome.
right now. And I'm like, oh wow, people were saying
Yeah.
yeah, some of the comments you should read them because they're touching.
Yeah. On Kate Kibo's post. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
When we're done recording, I'll go on LinkedIn and take a look. And this, not just this story, but I think a lot of the stories of these families and participants. This is this perfectly shows to other leaders within our company why we need to continue this Wings for All event. Whether we have an in-person event, this Air Shop, whether we have one or two events throughout the year, this is
Yes.
going to continue to make an impact. There was another story that I believe either Kevin and Tate told me, or maybe Samantha told me. I forgot. I I can't keep the episode straight. But they said that there was a family from India that was there, and their son with because of their son with autism, they haven't been able to travel back to India to visit their extended family, and because they went through this Wings for All event, they now know their son now had that test flight experience, and now they're able to be able to go travel back to visit extended family. That when we talk about connecting people and united the world, this Wings for All event helps our intellectual and developmental disability community. Like it brings our intellectual disability community into the mission of United.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, this absolutely, and the feedback on the call, that we had, that post-event call,
Yeah.
when she said that people were going to book flights, and not saying, yes, of course, as an airline, we want everyone to fly United because we're the best airline in the industry. But to hear that, to me, I hear conversion, meaning that we have just converted people that didn't think they had that opportunity to fly, but want to be a part of the United family as a passenger now, to be able to take that family vacation. Like you said, go back and visit home, extended family. This opened so many doors. And I can imagine that it has also given such a big relief to people that probably even if they're just traveling somewhere where up and down 2 hours, 2 hours versus 10 hours driving is a win every day. 45 minutes to go to Indianapolis, anything. They now know that they have this chance to actually be able to fly, and that their loved one is able to handle it.
Absolutely. Do you have any favorite memories or highlights from the day? Maybe it's the picture that we just put up on the screen. Maybe it's another favorite high, and I'm sure it's going to be hard to pick one or two. But is there any that kind of stick to the top of your head?
I will say that picture is one of them. But to be honest, as the person that was organizing, it was the end. And I say it was the end of the event because it was a job well done on the United side for me, that helped these families. And it was the end, knowing that I saw all of these happy faces come out of TSA, happy and excited, that and grateful, because I promise you, every last family thanked us as they were leaving. There was not one, like, bye, see you. No, it was a heartfelt thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. It was that. So it was the end for me, because the end for us was the beginning for them.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. The end of the day, the beginning of their United journey.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. What when we talk about personal growth and what Neffie, what have you learned about intellectual and developmental disabilities and inclusive air travel, and how has your perspective as a leader because now with your new role with or just your without talking about your day job, but like just what have you learned about intellectual and developmental disabilities and inclusive air travel? And then how has your perspective as a leader has shifted?
Well, the one thing that I can say is that I know that we have to be champions in this area. I've learned that that people with intellectual disabilities and hidden disabilities, or anything in that area, where people that the support, that's all that I believe that it will help people understand, is that it's the support, making it inclusive for everyone. And I know that as a leader, my voice is going to be louder. My intention is going to be more focused, and I know that this is an initiative that doesn't need to start and stop. That this needs to be a staple event for O'Hare Airport,
Yeah.
i.e., United Airlines. This
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. I'm imagining just like and I don't know how many of our listeners are familiar with the fantasy flight, but a lot of us at United, we know about the fantasy flight. And do you think, and I get that the Wings for All is different, but do you think just like the fantasy flight has become an annual event for that community, do you think this Wings for All event has that same potential to be this fan favorite, this employee favorite, impact for the intellectual and developmental disability? Kind of have that same type of effect?
Absolutely. And I've sat. I know that you weren't able to make the board meeting,
Yeah.
but at the board meeting, that was one of my next asks. I said, I know that this is ORD. I am working, as long as I am involved with ORD's bridge. If it's going to stay with bridge, I am going to work to make this a staple event, just like the fantasy flight. And I am pushing even more. I'm starting this year to work to advocate, to not only be able to push back, not able that also just be able to taxi, but hopefully to be able to have a takeoff, because we know that they were able to get on the aircraft and taxi around. But the true test and testament is knowing that when they take off, will they be able to handle that too?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Because
that will
that's
make it
yeah
that
that's
will make
another.
it full circle.
Yeah. Because just sitting, like, even though we were just on the ground, that's that 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 taxi time is just one part of like
Exactly.
that whole experience of when the wheels up, the wheels up, like
Exactly.
that. And even if we just fly, to Lake Michigan and back, or just in this,
Yeah,
it,
and just circle, right. And
yeah,
even if they're in the circling pattern, the holding pattern,
yeah.
to be able to I believe that that will make it full circle, and that will give them the real experience. If they will do it for Fantasy Flight, which is also an amazing reason, and an organization who we're supporting with Fantasy Flight, I believe this is even more important as well, because this will give more parents and more family members the freedom of travel that we take for granted every day.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, for those of you listening, we'll if you're listening to this podcast, we'll try to keep you updated Whenever the Elk of Illinois shows about future Wings for All event, and if you're listening in another city, we can keep you updated as well. A few final thoughts. I know that the time has just flown by.
Yes.
We'll let you finish driving home in just a few moments. But
I know.
this Unified Work series mainly focuses on inclusive employment. I just met up my volunteer content producer for this podcast. I just met up with her in DC this past weekend, and we've been talking about building an inclusive travel series on this podcast. And so, but with that, can you share your thoughts on this Unified Work series, on this podcast on Special Chronicles? Why do conversations like the one that we're having today, why do these conversations in our disability community matter?
Because education. When people do not know, they have a fear or they have an apprehension, or it can be sheer ignorance, meaning and not knowing. So I believe conversations have to happen like this, so that we can know how to show up for people. You know, we're on this earth, and we're supposed to be caretakers of one another. We're supposed to love one another. You know, we don't have to always agree, and I don't get into any deep things with anything, but I do know that if we know how to just show up for people, where they need, at the level that they need to be shown up for, this world will be such a better place. And when you can have these conversations, and when we can work for employer that is a champion for inclusivity, and a champion for change, and a champion of supporting people from all walks of life, but especially our passengers and employees with great abilities, it is beyond needed to have these type of conversations so that
Awesome.
people will know. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Before we get to our call to action, do you have any final thoughts on your overall time with today on the Special Chronicles podcast, and then as well as share how our listeners can learn more about I don't know why in the show notes it says to ask you to learn more about Special Chronicles, but it's
Contact Daniel to learn more about Special Chronicles. But make sure that you're watching. Go to YouTube and Instagram. That's how.
and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and SpecialChronicles.com. Yeah,
absolutely. See, he knew it all. See?
Yes. Okay. So, and if you're watching the video, that link is underneath my name there. Yeah, right there. So, do you have any final thoughts on it's? I know we've been talking about having you on now the past few years, and I'm glad that we're able to. You are the third episode in this 3-episode series about this Wings for All event, because that's I didn't just want to just have one episode about about this event just because it's so impactful for our community. Yes. That our listeners need to hear from you. They need to hear from Kevin Tate. They need to hear from Samantha from the
Absolutely.
And so, do you have any final thoughts? And if our listeners want, well, I'm putting Samantha's in the Elk of Illinois up on the screen, that you all can reach. That is that the best way if people want to learn more about the Wings for All event is to reach out to?
I believe so. Yes, the arcofillinois.org. Absolutely. So it's the arcofil.org. Yeah. That's the best way. I think the only thing that I probably want to say is that, first of all, Daniel, thank you for for highlighting this event, for bringing on the organization, bringing on the captain who really was like a spearhead for this event. He was being a captain in all ways, not just for the aircraft, but he was our at the helm of our event as well. But just to say thank you, because it's important, and you are exemplifying what it is be to be in the forefront and screaming loud and sparing not about these subjects, and making sure that the information gets out, because that's how people can learn.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in DC, I was hanging out with a pilot friend, and I was talking. I met up for dinner with my content producer, um, whose daughter has Williams syndrome, and I've known them for the past 10 years, and something that we were just talking about is I don't just like to put content out there just to put content out there. I want to make sure that each of these episodes, it's authentic and real. That when people come to this podcast, when people come to this platform on Special Chronicles, that it's a platform, it's a podcast that you can trust for within our all disability community. We've got one final, because we don't just want our listeners to be entertained and be informed, but we want our listeners to take action and to bring inclusion into their communities. Neffie, you and our entire team at United has done that with this Wings for All event. But we got one final question, and we've got a bumper, so let's go ahead and roll that bumper.
We're not just athletes.
We are the ambassadors of an uprising.
Peaceful protesters.
In a rebellion against anyone
who has a fear of difference.
Difference.
Our demands are
equality.
Dignity.
And the recognition of our
shared humanity. We will not stop
or accept anything less.
Today, our world is
more divided than ever.
And coming together has never been more urgent.
The revolution
is inclusion.
Find out more at jointherevolution.org.
So the inclusion revolution is not just a big message in Special Olympics, but inclusion is also important at all employer, United Airlines, and even at the Arc of Illinois, and this. And so we don't just want our listeners to listen, but we want them to take action. And this final question will help our listeners to do just that, and so they can learn from you. And what can you share and help to create these simple actions for listeners to take inclusion into their own communities, into their own workplaces and their own travels. And so I'm going to put in an inclusive travel spin to this question than what I usually ask the guests. But because we do work in the airline industry, I thought I'm going to just put a little aviation spin, airline spin to this. And what does inclusive travel mean to you?
Inclusive travel means to me that everyone is supported, that everyone is included, meaning we include them with our thoughts of how we can serve them. We include all of the communities that's within the disability community. That means that everyone has ample access to what we are supposed to be offering as an airline. And I am so excited that I am a part of an airline that is as inclusive as they can get. We have everyone is included, and they're still working. They're not stopping. They're evolving and they're enhancing the travel experience for this community. So that's what it means. Access,
Awesome.
everyone, ample access.
Awesome. I love that. That's a perfect way to wrap up this episode. Before we let you go, we can't leave you listeners without thanking our sponsors for this podcast. You can, if you're listening, and it's free for you to listen and watch, but it does cost us money for the video hosting, audio hosting, website hosting. All of that adds up, and so you can go to specialchronicles.com/give to make a monthly or one-time donation. If you want to access our bonus content, we've got a few minutes of bonus content of when Neffie entered the studio. You can join specialchronicles.com/plus. Special Chronicles Plus is where you can access all of our bonus content. And then this episode is brought to you by United Airlines Bridge Business Resource Group, connecting people of all abilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/united, specialchronicles.com/united. And I have to mention, there's a social story that a few of us as ambassadors were part of. But on united.com, there's a social story that walks you through the travel journey, just like this Wings for All event, that maybe Neffie, for the next event, we can maybe we can find a way to make a QR code for that social story to share with these families. But we put a link to it at specialchronicles.com/united. And then also this episode is brought to you by the ComEd Energy Force Ambassador Program, the nation's first energy and solar efficiency education program designed for and taught by people with disabilities. Learn more at specialchronicles.com/ComEd. And you can find the show notes for today's episode and links to follow us on social media, our newsletter, and all that at specialchronicles.com. Thank you again, Neffie, for taking the time, doing your commute home today, for coming on. And I look forward to, just like you've heard from our other colleagues, but I'm looking forward to being part of the next Wings for All event.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me do my car chronicles with you, Dan.
Awesome. And until then, take care, and we'll see you next week right here on specialchronicles.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Special Chronicles podcast. Our podcast was produced by Daniel Smrokowski on the Special Chronicles Network. Follow Special Chronicles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Subscribe, rate, and review Special Chronicles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our website, specialchronicles.com, where you can stream our archives of over 500 episodes absolutely for free. Also, there's a list of our favorites, original series, award-winning columns, and blogs. And sign up for our newsletter to receive exclusive bonus content delivered to your inbox. Again, specialchronicles.com. Special Chronicles is hosted by Podbean Podcast Hosting. Our live streams are powered by StreamYard. Thanks, as always, to our business manager, Daniel Smrokowski, who always encourages us to never give up. I'm Daniel Smrokowski, back next week with more stories.
Special Chronicles, giving respect and a voice to people with special needs.